Okay, so when we look at this, okay, our very first step and the most important one, okay, and you have to do it correctly, is to label, okay? Do not try to not label because then you screw it up, and if you don't label it right, then when you go to plug the stuff in the formula, it's not going to be right, and your slope's all going to be jacked up. Okay, I know it seems silly, but people don't do it right. So we can label this one x1, and it's not really x1. We label them x sub 1. Okay, it's a notation to say that this is the very first x that we're going to work with. Okay, and then this would be y sub 1 because we already know we write coordinates like x comma y. Okay, and since we put that sub, that little number with it, because this is the first set of coordinates. So these ones are going to be x sub 2, y sub 2. Okay, now we need a formula in order to figure out the slope. So our slope formula, okay, is m equals, oh, I forgot. Did that shame. I know you guys think I'm playing too. The y's. I thought so, but I wasn't sure. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. That is your formula. You will need it for every single problem. Okay? That's how we can figure out what our slope is per. And after that, it's really easy. Okay? And m really means y. Okay? So it's no different. You should get y equals, okay, but it's really your slope. Okay? So m, we always use, and you're going to see this habitually. Anytime you see the letter M, it means slope. Okay? So now we can start to plug in our stuff in our formula. So I got M equals, our y sub 2 is 18, minus our y sub 1 is 17, our y x sub 2 is 4, minus, now this is where you need to pay super close attention. I already have this minus. Okay, my x sub 1 so happens to be negative 4. So it really needs to say minus, minus. Okay? Because this is, the minus already goes there. And then my point is a negative. Okay, what's a minus minus really though?
Positive.
It's really a plus. So you could change this one to a plus. Okay, and so you're going to have 18 minus 17. 4 plus 4. Going to be 8. Our slope is 1 over 8.
Yo, that's easy.
Yeah. Okay, and if you're like addition or subtraction, negative game sucks, those calculators with the orange buttons, you can put the fraction button and you can type all this in on the calculator and it's going to spit you out what it should. Okay, so there's really like not much math involved, quite honestly. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Our very first step is to do what? Label. Okay, and if we don't label, okay, and I'm going to show you, I should have shown you on that one, okay, and I will real quick. So if we forget to label, okay, because this is subtraction, you cannot put the stuff in the other order. It doesn't work that way, okay? So if I put 17 first on this one, minus 18, and then I have negative 4 minus 4, okay, what happens is I'm going to end up getting, actually, what usually happens is like this. Somebody will put the 18 where it's supposed to go, and then the 4's in the other spot, okay? And then they're going to get 1 over negative 8, which is close, but on some of these you would end up getting a 0 or something that you shouldn't be getting, okay? So it's very important that we put the numbers exactly where the numbers go, okay? Labeling is very, very important. Okay, so our y sub 2, we got is 19 minus y sub 1 is 16 over x sub 2 is 2 minus x sub 1 is negative 17. Okay, minus minus is a plus. So I got 19 minus 16 is going to be 3, and then 2 plus 17 19. 3 over 19 is going to be our slope. Can I scroll down? Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, we need to label x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Okay, we have our formula, so we're going to say m equals, our y sub 2 is negative 10, minus y sub 1 is negative 6, over x sub 2 is 20, minus x sub 1 is negative 3. Okay, now we can go through and change all of our minuses to a plus. So this one I could change to a plus. Minus minus is going to be a plus. Okay, so negative 10 plus 6 is going to be negative 4 over 20 plus 3 is going to be 23. Okay, number 4, same thing. We need to label x1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Okay, if I had 3 points, what would my next ones be labeled?
Y.
Yeah, x sub 3, y sub 3. If I had 4 points, then it would be x sub 4, y sub 4. Okay, that's where that sub comes from, is to let us know how many points we're working with, so you can pick the right ones. Okay, so m equals y sub 2 is going to be 19 minus 0. X sub 2 is going to be negative 8 minus 7. Well, 19 minus 0 is 19. Negative 8 minus 7 is going to be negative 15.
What's the simple formulas that we get?
Not today. I mean, you can, but you don't have to. Okay, go to the back page, or the next page, whatever you want to call it, to the graph. Okay, when we look at graphs, we can also do the same thing and find the slope from that graph. Okay, what slope really means is that's our consistent thing that happens all the time. So $10 per hour, $1 per McChicken. Okay, so our slope is going to be, we already know as M. Okay, we often see it labeled as M. Okay, we often see it also called, okay, rise over run is one of the things that you're going to see habitually when we talk about slope, okay? Or rate of change is another one that people that I don't think use enough, because then when you guys see it on standardized testing, you're like, I don't know what rate of change is. I've never seen rate of change in my life, and it's really slow, okay? Okay, so when we're looking at the graph, it's a matter of counting. Okay, so the rise is going to be how much you go up or down, and the run is going to be how much you go left or right. Okay, so it's very important. And then the last thing that we need to talk about is positive or negative slope, okay? You can clearly see it when it's on a fraction. You know that if a fraction is negative, it's negative, okay? And if it's positive, it's positive. You guys got that. But when we look at a picture, it's totally different, okay? So if it's positive, okay, your line is obviously going positive, but you should be able to look at a graph, so to speak, and be able to tell if it's positive or negative slope, okay? So if it's going, and I always hate to try to explain this, if it's going like up, like you would walk up a mountain, I guess, okay, like this one, you have to walk up the stairs, okay, that's going to be a positive slope, okay, so if it's going up, it's going to be positive, Okay, and if it's going down, it's gonna be negative. Okay, so we need to go from one point to the other point. So if we start here, and I usually say start on the lowest point because then that gives you like that rise or that run. Okay, but you can start on either point. So if we start here, how many do I need to rise or go up and down to get to the other point? I can only take straight lines. Okay, so I'm gonna have to start going up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I rise 4. And how many do I run or go left or right to get to that point?
Oh, you go negative 2.
1, 2. Okay, and then we can say, well, is that positive or negative slope? Does it look like we're going up the mountain or we're going down? Okay, and this picture kind of is not the best because...
Is it not negative 2?
Wait, yeah, isn't it negative 2 since you have to go to the left to go?
Yeah, so you can also look at it like that. So if you go left, it's going to be negative. If you go right, it's going to be positive. Okay, but sometimes, yeah, you can say that. Okay, so it's going to be negative 4 over 2. Okay, let's look at 12. Okay, we need to go from this point to the other point. So how many am I going to have to rise?
3.
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Okay, so my top number is going to be 3. And what about the run?
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so and this is a positive slope. Okay, so it's just going to be 3 over 5. Huh? Yeah. Hmm?